All right, so this is part 2 of our review. So we're going to take a look at the rest of the questions on this page. So remember our 3 types of dependent clauses: adverbial, which starts with a subordinator, like in this case, our if is a subordinator. So if they are good, that is my adverbial clause, right? And this is put inside my independent clause. So that is why you can see there are 2 commas separating it. All right. So actually, I think I'm going to pick out all the adverbial clauses first. So I'm going to go to number 15. Do you see how 15 there is a subordinator after? So after the concert is over, so subordinator after, right? It indicates time, whereas if indicates hypothetical situation. Okay, so adverb time. And keep in mind that for adverbial clause, the general rule would be if independent clause comes first, you don't have comma, and that would be our dependent clause. But keep in mind that a word can have different part of speech. So I'm going to give you an example, right? I go to the gym after work. In this case, the after is not a subordinator. Instead, it is a preposition because a subordinator needs to be followed by subject verb, by a clause, whereas a preposition is followed by a noun or a noun phrase. And I see a missed one. There's one here, before he comes. So like our after, this is an adverbial clause that indicates time. Oops. Okay, and I should change it to green. And again, since this is independent before dependent, we don't have any punctuation. All right, so now looking at number 8. Now I have that, so I'm going to use purple for this one. That Melissa became an English professor surprised no one. So you can see whenever you have that at the beginning of the sentence, the whole thing is functioning as the subject of the entire sentence. So this is a noun clause. Use purple, noun clause as subject. All right. And of course, there is another one, number 10, realizing that they had seen very little of America. So you might be wondering, what is this? Well, first of all, what is realizing? Realizing is a transitive verbal. In fact, it is a participle. Participle. And if you remember, a transitive verbal takes on object. For example, eat is transitive. Eat apples. So eating would be transitive. Eating apples. Realize, you realize something. There is object. So realizing, you realizing something, that is also the object. So in this case, our noun clause is the object of the verbal realizing, and together they make our participle phrase. All right, so that is a tricky one. Now, do I have right? I do. Okay, so I have another noun clause here. So remember we have 3 types of noun clauses: the that, the if or whether, and the WH. So in this case, this is a noun clause, WH, right? So do you know something? So of course, this is our noun clause as direct object. Okay, and the remaining ones, let's take a look. I'm going to use orange, right? So where where he taught for 3 years. Remember, for adjective clause, we can have something called relative adverb if you are modifying time. And that is my adjective clause. And it is non-essential because you see the comma after Montana, right? So antecedent, which is the noun you're modifying, is University of Montana. I'm going to type UOM. All right, and number 13, where do I see my relative pronoun? That I have from my childhood. So again, you don't want to over underline your adjective clause, right? Because your sentence is actually cross out prepositional phrase. One is my first day. That is predicate noun. And then cross out prepositional phrase. So that I have from my childhood is actually modifying the word memories. That is the antecedent. So adjective clause, essential. Remember, that is always essential. And it is modifying antecedent memories. Okay, so keep in mind that our relative pronoun can be subject or object. So in this case, I have memories from my childhood. And that means for something that is essential and objective case pronoun, I can actually omit it. So I can change the sentence to one of the most vivid memories I have from my childhood is my first day in school. All right. And last but not least, okay, so we know which is a relative pronoun, so it's very easy to identify because this is non-essential. It comes between two inserter commas, right? And it is modifying the word the tour. Okay, so of course, adjective clause, non-essential. Remember, for SAT purposes, which is always non-essential. This is different from some of the Taiwanese textbooks, and the antecedent being modified here would be the tour. All right, and that is our second review. I will see you next time.